Narcissists give a new meaning to what it means to be cruel, right? They can fling emotional daggers at people that they love. They can watch those daggers puncture the heart of their loved ones, watch that person be emotionally bleeding, and it seems like they don't feel a thing. Why is that? That's what we're going to talk about today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Michelle, and I help people overcome emotional wounds, especially those that have been inflicted through narcissistic abuse, and I help people break through subconscious programming. So if that's information that you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so that you're notified of all my upcoming videos. Okay, so why are narcissists, or how can narcissists be so cruel and heartless and it not even bother them? Now, I know some of you may have already jumped down to the comment section and said, I know why they're not cruel. It's because they have no empathy. And if you did that, you're right. It's true. Narcissists have no empathy, and obviously a person without empathy is going to be able to be cruel without it affecting them. But having no empathy is just one piece of the puzzle as to why they're so cruel. The other one is what we're going to talk about today. And after we talk about it, I want to give you guys some tips, especially if you're still in a relationship with a toxic person, a narcissistic person. I want to give you tips on what you can do if you're having to deal with this now. So make sure if you want those tips that you watch to the end of the video, okay? So what's the other piece that makes it so easy for narcissists to be so cruel? It has to do with something that infants develop. It's called object constancy. This is something that's developed, a child develops it around the age of 24 months to 36 months, right? So before that age period, to an infant, if they're the object, and let's just say the first main object in a child's life is their mother, right? Or their main caregiver, whichever one it is, the mother or the father. If that object, or that parent, is out of sight to that child, that parent doesn't exist anymore. And you can see the truth to this if you ever watch an infant playing peekaboo with its mom, right? So the mom covers her face and the infant looks really sad. And the second the mom shows her face, the infant's face lights up, starts laughing and smiling because she's ecstatic that mom has returned, right? Another way to look at it is if an infant has its toy, right? When you take a toy from an infant and you put it behind your back, they literally think that the toy is gone. And they're ecstatic when you show that the toy is there. Once they get object constancy, you put it behind your back, they crawl behind you and they go and grab that toy because they've learned that just because something is out of sight doesn't mean that it ceases to exist. When you think about the way the infant sees things before it develops object constancy, it sees things in one way or another. Mom is there, mom doesn't exist. This is good, this is bad. It's a very infantile way of seeing things, but that's because that infant hasn't developed the capacity to see that just because mom isn't there doesn't mean that she's gone, okay? What does this have to do with narcissists being cruel? Because narcissists don't develop object constancy. They don't develop that because of the toxic parenting that they themselves had to endure, right? So they've been emotionally stunted without object constancy. So they are like big babies. They see life the same way that infant does before it develops object constancy, either good or bad. And that's how narcissists view their partners. You're either all good and perfect, especially in the beginning of the relationship, right? Where you're being idealized, but one thing wrong, one little thing wrong, one imagined thing wrong, and you are suddenly all bad. When we have object constancy, it basically means that we have the ability to still have a positive emotional bond with someone, even if we're angry, hurt, or disappointed in them. It also means that we can still feel emotionally connected to that person when they're not physically around us. So when we have that object constancy, that's what helps us to be able to not cross any boundaries, even if we're mad at our partner. Okay, so yes, we may say things that we regret. We may get angry and, act out our anger, but there's like a line. There's a line that we won't cross because we know that even though we're angry and upset, we still love that person. Well, without object constancy, the narcissist doesn't see it that way. They are all angry. Anything good in the relationship or anything good in you ceases to exist, just like it does in the mind of an infant. I remember one woman sent me an audio of her husband and her having an argument. I think it's in the playlist subscriber stories that I have on my channel. And in that audio, he was screaming at her. He was insulting her. She was trying to help him to see that what he was doing and saying was awful. It was untrue. It was unwarranted considering the crime that she supposedly did. She wasn't getting through to him. You could hear him just being even more angry, more vicious, attacking not what she did, but who she was as a person, telling her things like, "You're such a bad person. You're so awful," until the point that she just broke down and you could hear her crying. And when it got to that point where he just broke her, you could tell in the audio that she was completely broken, he started reading the mail as if what just happened didn't happen, as if he couldn't see her on the floor, couldn't hear her sobs. I could hear her sobs in the audio. And he's reading the mail. He's like, "Oh, the electric bill came in. Oh, I wonder who this is from. I don't know. Maybe I should read this now." And it was, his whole tone had changed. What his tone was saying was, "Your pain is oblivious to me. I could care less." So the point is that they're able to be that cruel for those two reasons. Obviously, it's a lack of empathy. Absolutely. You can't have empathy and be that cruel. But on top of it, they also have a lack of object constancy, which has them stuck in the mentality of a child. So what do you do if you are still in this situation? And this, to me, is the most important part of this video, right? We have to understand the dynamics as to why they are the way they are. But we don't just want to learn about them. We want to learn what we need to do so that we keep ourselves healthy and emotionally healthy as well. So I have 8 tips for you. Number 1, stop expecting the narcissist to display empathy. This is a hard one because it doesn't feel natural. In fact, it isn't natural. Anyone in a relationship should expect their partner to have empathy. They should expect that their partner is going to be sad if they see you crying, that they're going to react if they see you hurt. But by expecting the narcissist to have something that they don't have, it keeps you stuck in mental anguish. So you have to wrap your mind around the fact that no matter how hard you cry, you could bang your head against the wall, you could punch yourself in the face, and I know many people that have done that in exasperation of the lack of empathy that they're being handled with, and it wouldn't faze them. So you have to let go of expecting them to be or have something that they don't have. Number 2 is don't try to convince them that the awful, evil things that they're saying about you aren't true. Even if you're talking and they are not talking, they're not listening. I used to say in one relationship that I had with a narcissist, I used to say, you don't listen, you pause. They'll stop with their insults, they'll pause, and then you're talking, and your thought is, okay, now I'm going to get through. I'm going to help them to see, who I really am or what the truth is. But they're not thinking that. They're just paused, and as soon as you stop talking, they will pick up where they ended as if you never said a thing. So it just adds more emotional anguish to try to get through to somebody that's going to stonewall you and reject all reality and all truth. Number 3 is convince yourself, okay? Instead of convincing the narcissist and trying to convince the narcissist, which is a mistake that a lot of us fall into, convince yourself as to who you are. Use your inner dialogue to hold on to your reality. Because the narcissist is trying to convince you that their way of viewing the world, which we established is at the mental capacity of a toddler, they want you to believe that that is the way you need to view the world, and you don't. You do not have to accept the irrational unreality of another person. So hold on to your reality by convincing yourself and using your inner dialogue to help you. The next step can help with that, and that's to regularly and daily validate yourself and see your own worth through your own eyes, which means instead of thinking and hoping that the toxic person is going to see that you did this, or to see that you're a good person, or to see all that you accomplish in the day, rather than seek that validation from them, which they never give anyway, start giving it to yourself. Notice what you do. Notice who you are. Give yourself that validation and build your self-worth. Number 5 is to let go of the hope that the narcissist will change. It's hard. It's hard to believe that somebody will purposely not want to change, right? Because you know that you would change if it would help the situation. But we can't expect the narcissist to have the same qualities that we have. We can't project who we are into the narcissist, just like they can't project themselves into us, or they shouldn't. They shouldn't, and we shouldn't. So we have to accept that's who they are and use the past as a measuring tool. Has it been 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and they still act cruel with no empathy? Is it reasonable to believe that now, today, it's going to be any different than it has been for 5, 10, 15 years? There comes a point where we have to kind of swallow that truth pill that this really is who they are. And we have to stop holding on to a false reality ourselves. Number 6 is to start living life as you. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you probably have not been you in a long time. Your whole existence has probably now been morphed to doing and being anything and everything that that person needs so that they don't get angry. And guess what? No matter how much you erase yourself, no matter how much you change, no matter how much you yank your personality inside out, they still get angry. Because the truth is it has nothing to do with you. And an even stronger truth is that you were not put on this earth so that you can be an emotional regulator to someone who can't emotionally regulate themselves. So take a look at the things or the person you were before you were in the relationship and the things that you loved to do, and start getting back to you. If you're still with the toxic person, does that mean that that toxic person is going to get mad and not like it? Yes. Yes, but even when you don't do it, they're still mad and they still don't like anything you do. So rather than stopping your life, start living as you. Number 7, pay attention to your breath. Okay? If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, your whole body has changed. Your whole nervous system has changed. And you're probably stuck in fight or flight, and you probably do a lot of chest breathing, which only makes it easier to get triggered and to be in that heightened state of anxiety. So learn about diaphragmatic breathing and start practicing it on a daily basis. In the morning, when you first wake up, take 2 or 3 breaths. Before a meal, before you go to sleep, if you're driving in your car, start regularly doing this so that your nervous system can relax. And last but not least, start focusing on self-love and self-care. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you have put your love for you way on the bottom of your list. I don't even think it's on the list, right? And you've been chasing love from somebody that's constantly changing the rules, constantly raising the bar, constantly refusing to allow you to feel lovable and loved. Okay? So rather than chase it from somebody that's refusing to give it to you, recognize that you have the power to generate self-love within. And once you start doing that, it doesn't fix the relationship, because it takes 2 people to fix a relationship. But it will start helping you to break through that fog of confusion. It will start helping you to be able to handle things, make decisions that will help you in the future.